Ward. I am a county coordinator with the Kern Fire Safe Council. And I'm also the Kern County, that's better. I'm also the Kern County Regional Coordinator for the Firewise program through CAL FIRE and the National Fire Protection Association. So I'll skip this part because I'm here to talk really about Firewise. And so I am the county coordinator with Kern Fire Safe Council. It is a nonprofit here in Kern County that oversees wildfire mitigation, education, and outreach programs. If you want information on that later, I'll be happy to tell you. So one of the things is I have a video here. Does it load? And so what we're going to talk about is why Firewise is important. And so the IBHS had done this test on homes, and so I just want to show this to you guys to give kind of a little background.
So from start to finish, we're going to start with our ember generators, which we use to recreate a realistic ember exposure. Embers are those small burning and smoldering particles that may travel ahead of the fire front. And what we do with our generators is we create the realistic exposure, and in our wind tunnel, we're able to throw them at a building. And then we have a building that has two sides to it, a good side which uses wildfire resistant construction, and what we're considering a typical building that we would see in a wildfire prone area. Exactly as we expected, that mulch on the ground there caught fire from the embers. The fire from the mulch burned up under this deck, and this whole deck was on fire. And so this fire on this deck caused flames right against the home. And then if we look there at the base of the door, there was actually the flames from this deck that burned through the bottom of the door, and on the inside of the house we started to see smoke and flames. And so because this deck was a combustible material attached to the building, when the embers led to the ignition of this deck, we got flames inside of the building. Here we are on the wildfire resistant side of the house, where we had non-combustible siding, a 5-foot non-combustible zone and 6-inch gap. We had a metal gutter and multi-pane windows, and we see in comparison to the non-wildfire resistant side, this side had the same ember exposure. If you look here in the mulch, you can actually see some of the embers that had accumulated, but because they had no susceptible fuel to ignite, they just landed there and fizzled out. Now here where we have ornamental vegetation, that again is susceptible to the embers, but because it's more than 5 feet away from the home, it didn't have enough energy to ignite, and it never led to a flame impact on the building.
I think when we come in to talk about the Firewise program, I think of the Firewise program as a sense of coming together as a community to look at the things. And when I refer to community, I mean neighborhood, right? And it's coming together to identify the things that are in your neighborhood, on your homes, on your property and stuff that are putting you at risk for wildfire. And the reason I show this video is because I truly believe that it starts with the homeowner. And so do all of the studies. And so all of the work that people put into making their homes safe, they are their best protection and insurance. And so the Firewise program is kind of a sense of bringing structure and organization to neighborhoods who want to become recognized as a Firewise community for possible insurance benefits, but also creating a plan for themselves. It is an organic program. It is derived and organized by the community itself. There is no governing body, or there is no agency that sets parameters or restrictions or guidelines or expectations of what you need to be doing in your homes. And so when we look at that, I can explain how that's going to tie into the 3-year plan and all of that stuff. But when you guys get together and you look at doing your Firewise community, you're going to be looking at your homes. You're going to be looking at that stuff. So I just spent probably about 8 weeks in the Burrell fire burn footprint. And so when we think about the Burrell fire, it traveled 5 miles in 1 hour. And so if we go into the Palisades and the Eaton and the Hearst and so on, we go up to Paradise, or even go back, about 7 years to the Erskine fire, those embers are flying very far over a very quick period of time. And then due to winds and then stuff not being taken care of, whether it's healthy forest management or it's private property management, stuff's going quickly. And so the Firewise program is meant to bring homeowners to a place where they can work together and go forward. So This is currently CAL FIRE's state fire hazard severity zones. And so if you look at the state, red is obviously very high, orange is high, and then yellow is moderate, and then so on. If you look at Kern County, you guys are red, right? So you are in a very high area. It's hard because you have this, but at the same time, Eaton or Palisades weren't in high severity zones. And so that's where, even if you're not in the severity zone, looking at your risk is still something that you should consider. So with that, Bear Valley is in a very high area, so you're at very high risk. This is one of the maps that the Department of Insurance or insurance agents look at when assessing or looking at what they're going to charge people. Not only the business model of they're losing money, right, and that stuff. So this is the map that they look at. It's currently being updated, and it's supposed to be out within the next 2 months. So yes. So the goals are four-pronged with Firewise, and one is wildfire education, reducing the risks to homeowners, and then fostering individual responsibility, and then encouraging neighbors to neighbors. If we look at the last 5 years socially, even 10 or 15 years, we've got away from relationships. We don't talk to people. We text and we ask, can I call you, rather than just picking up the phone, right? And so with my neighborhood, I don't even know some neighbors, a few doors down, and we need to go back to that. Right, we need to go back to that. And so the Firewise program, being as organic as it is, it's really trying to establish relationships within communities or neighborhoods, right, to get people to talk, to get people to get together, to get people to work together, and to get people to be safe together. Think about the barbecue you have, who's bringing what, who's doing what, and how we're going to do that. So that's kind of how the Firewise program works. So yeah. So if you look at the map, and it hasn't been updated yet, but here is the national map of Firewise communities, and there is the state map. And then the next one is Kern County. There is none. That's actually down off of 138. But I'm happy to report that in December, I think it was December 20th, a community in the area of Golden Hills was recognized as the first Kern County Firewise community. So they came together. They had reached out to me, and I went and presented to them. And I had Kern County come out with me and Chief Kennison, and we walked the neighborhood and did their risk assessment and stuff like that. So successfully, it has happened here in Kern County. It is, although the program's been around a long time, CAL FIRE has not been promoting it or not had positions. And so with the creation of it, we now have that community. So I am the California CAL FIRE state. CAL FIRE is the California state liaison, and I do the county points. So it is helping you guys finding direction. I know that I believe that everybody has good intent and wants to do what they can to keep their homes safe from wildfire. And this is bringing structure to it, and it reduces it to a local, but also like a neighborhood level. To ask you guys to do something that's across Bear Valley, you guys are roughly 3,500 properties, right? Yeah. It's going to be completely different. And so the connection and the emotion and the involvement would be strained. And so looking at just within your neighborhood is where the Firewise program is designed. So it is voluntary. It is free. It is community led. Kern County Fire, the Kern Fire Safe Council, CAL FIRE do not charge. They do not order anything. There are no fees to register for anything like that. It is a completely voluntary program. It is not, like I said, it's not governed by anybody, and there are no expectations. And so we are here not as a step in the process. We are not a cog in the wheel. We are on the side as a resource. So if someone wants to go through the process of Firewise without ever having involved us, that is fine. And that is completely appropriate. And that is the idea. If you have questions, you don't know the technical answers, you don't know what is my neighborhood's risk, you don't know how to fill out the forms or stuff like that, that's where I come in doing the risk assessment. Also, Kern County will come in and help look at your neighborhood. So this is kind of how I made it look for you guys. If you notice, the resident community leader. Now you're going to create a community. It could be, 3-5 people. And I'll talk about the size of a neighborhood, but you're going to have 3 to 5 people that are going to come together and be like your board. They're going to be like, not a governing body, because again, this is supposed to be supportive and organic and stuff like that, but they are going to have one leader. And that leader will open up a portal on the website, and then they're going to be reporting it. And so it is just entry of information on the website. And so they meet with the committee, they gather all the information, they go in and they add it in there, and then it's complete. On the side, you have Kern County as a resource as far as doing the wildfire risk assessment, and then you have me as if you need any help or questions filling out the forms or the paperwork. So next, sorry. So the benefits, it identifies potential projects, it helps firefighting efforts, and it increases community awareness and relationships. Like I said, I believe everybody wants to do the best for their property, but they may not know what they can do. They may not know what will have the biggest impact. They may not know what costs the least, and they may not know what other neighbors or their neighborhood may play a part in their wildfire safety. So next. So when you go through the process, the community leader creates a portal, and then you assess all of your things. And in that, there's a wildfire risk assessment. That wildfire risk assessment there's 2 forms that need to be uploaded to the Firewise site. Other than that, there's no other forms or documentation. It's just those 2, and the rest is data entry. And so from that, in the wildfire risk assessment, so we may come out and say, this canyon has fire history, or the wind comes from this direction, or these trees, if they're cleaned from the road, Kern County will be like, we can get through here, or this will be a break, that we can use, or something of that, or hey, if you clean this, it'll have a better impact than cleaning that. And I'm going to give Golden Hills as an example. There's one home, and it's beautiful. They have a huge sequoia tree. And they were like, not my tree. And this tree was probably 80 to 100 years old, if not bigger. And they were like, not my tree. And so when we went through, you could do these things, and that tree's limbed appropriately, so you don't have to touch it. It's not completely eliminating everything from having your beautiful home up here in the mountains. That's why we live here, right? I come from Kernville. I liked the mountains. I really enjoy all of the beauty of it. And so with that, you don't have to lose all of that stuff, and there can be some return on other things. So it really does help address the things that are going on in your neighborhood, the things that are at risk, and kind of prioritizes that for you. So public education is emphasized. One of the things with the Firewise program is that once a year, the community comes together and does something educational. It could be a webinar at the leader's house, sitting around watching it. It could be attending a meeting. It could be going to a demonstration. It could be something of that your community is learning consistently about wildfire. And so it may help you get insurance, it may help you retain insurance, and it may help you reduce insurance. And I would say before you bank on that, check with your insurance provider, right? Check and ask them, is this going to be? Because it may be a $20 discount compared to, you think you're going to lose 20 or 30%. It may be one of your insurance agents say, this is going to keep your policy, right? Every insurance is different. The Department of Insurance now recognizes the Firewise program as being a possible reason to retain, keep, or reduce your insurance. So again, please contact your insurance provider. So what you're going to do, there's 4 steps to the Firewise program. And the first one is to organize it. And so there's the requirements of a minimum of 8, but a maximum of 25. Now, if you think of span of control and you think of your neighborhood watch, it wouldn't be effective to go into 25 homes, right? Just like here. Here to here isn't going to have any relationship for that. But you want to look at a boundary zone, and if you need help with that, I can help with that. But you establish a neighborhood, what you would call your Firewise community. They have to be contiguous. So what that means is they have to connect. So I'll explain, and I always use someone's name like Joe. Joe doesn't want to be a part of the program. It's okay. Joe will still be in your map, and I'll explain how that works. And so you can't checkerboard. You can't pick here, 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 or here. You have to have a continuous neighborhood. And so I have 5 there because I think it's good to have good input. But you want to establish your community and create a map. So then you're going to plan it. So you create that, and then you're going to do a risk assessment. And that's where I can come in with Kern County Fire, and we can walk your neighborhood, do a couple houses, and give examples like, okay, the roads or the houses or your eaves, right? Or pull these bushes back. We had some in Golden Hills, they were like wood piles, right? Parked right next to the house. Let's pull that back, right? So it's some simple thing. She was like, oh man, it's cold. I want to bring it in, right? Well, then that's a hazard, right? So with that, then you do that, and you create a 3-year action plan. Now that 3-year action plan has different criteria that you need to do in order to show that you're progressively making progress in improving your community towards more preparedness for wildfire. Yeah. So then you're going to do it, right? You're going to host a community event. So you have your committee together, get all your neighbors together, have a barbecue, and you're going to collectively commit to 1 volunteer hour per resident in the area. So say you have 10 homes, right? Joe in the middle doesn't want to belong. Okay, you just have to make up for his 1 hour. So he doesn't want to belong. That's okay. You make up for his 1 hour, which we all know we're doing more than 1 hour, right? We're probably doing 20 or 30 hours ourselves each. So you do the 1 hour to make up for Joe, and you account it on your stuff that you put online. The thing is, he doesn't receive the recognition. So even though if he's in the center of your map and he's not doing what he needs to contribute to the group, okay, we're not going to harass you. We're not going to bug you. You're not holding us back from the recognition or anything like that. Now, if someone wants to be a part of it, they have the right to be a part of it. They can't be excluded. So if someone wants to be a part of it, you have to allow them in your map to be a part of it. So you're going to look at vegetation removal. So for like Golden Hills, they put on there how many trips they made to the dump, what kind of truck it was, and how much they think it weighed, and so on and so forth. And then that counted. Now, when it talks about vegetation removal, you can include outside vendors. So you get a gentleman to come in and trim your trees. You can calculate that for your hours. You do the trips to the dump. You have community events or stuff like that. That can go for your vegetation removal. I think one of the things to look at when it comes to Firewise is that everybody has an asset, right? And so if they're elderly or they're physically unable, maybe they're making sandwiches that day for the cleanup day. Maybe they're calling people. Maybe they're organizing the event. Maybe they're hosting it. There's different things. Some people are really good at technology. Great, let's do that. I'll trim your tree. For me, I'd rather be outside working some days more than on my computer, right? And so with that, then you apply. So you're going to organize your group and your committee. You're going to do the risk assessment. You're going to set your 3-year goals, and then you're going to apply. And your application is just uploading the risk assessment and your 3-year plan, along with putting your plan for vegetation removal. One of the things, I was actually speaking with these gals Sunday, and so one of the things I said, keep it simple, right? The KISS principle. Don't set goals that are so hard that you can't attain them. You're not impressing anybody. There's no desire that you have 100% or anything like that. CAL FIRE and the NFPA want to see that you are progressively working towards improving. So if you improve by 10% every year on something, that is great. That is showing progress. So if you set your goals, moderately low, if you, in your risk assessment, you're like 30% of our homes are 0 to 5 feet cleared. Next year, we want to do 40%. Next year, we want to do 50%. And so you progressively improve there. And I give the analogy of like going to the gym. Like I'm going to do legs, then I'm going to put arms in there, and then I'm going to do my back, stuff like that. And so you're maintaining your 0 to 5. If that's a goal that you pick, you're maintaining your 0 to 5, and you're progressively improving that. Then you're going to throw in, we're going to limb up trees. Then we're going to do eaves, and we're going to do some home hardening and stuff like that. And I also say, so keep it simple. And the second thing is, don't budget yourself out of the ability to finish it. So don't put double pane windows at the top, because not everybody can afford that, right? But everybody can, work together. If you get one spool of the screen, right? One spool of the screen is like $40 or $50. That'll do thousands and thousands of square feet. It could be shared in the community, right? So there's different things that you can do that aren't cost prohibitive or strangling to you guys. And so there's that. So the risk assessment, it identifies both your strengths and your weaknesses. And then if you'd like, which you don't have to, I know there's several fighting people up here, whether it's LA, Kern County, Bakersfield City, and stuff like that. Some of them may be like, I already know. Okay, you don't have to, but if you want, Kern County Fire will come out and we'll walk your neighborhood. So next. So there's 7 components to the Firewise application. You're going to identify your committee. I'll go through all these, so go ahead. So on the first, you're going to identify your committee. My name's Wendy. This is my committee, and this is their contact information, and this is the name of our community, and this is how many houses is it. Then the next one is general information. So you're going to describe your community. Go ahead. Sorry. Nope, back one. That's okay. It's and so you're going to describe your community, and you're just going to say, is it grass, trees, shrubs? It's in the mountains. what is the wind exposure, and the history of wildfire. If you don't know those, that's where we can help you. All right, next. So you're going to do observations. And so there's one of these areas for each of those listed on the left. Roofing materials, soffit vents, siding, right? You have skirting, wood versus non-combustible, windows. And then you're going to walk your community or your neighborhood that you're getting recognized, trying to get recognized. And then you're going to calculate your percentage. So if you have 10 homes and 30% of them have, fiberglass shingles, right? And so on, right? So with the screened vent, you're going to talk about the percentages of your homes that have that. Now, you're not trying to impress anybody. If nobody has it, that's okay. Because in all honesty, if nobody has it, you're progressively going to be making improvement. If you're up there in the greater than 75%, your growth each year will be pretty difficult. Because then you're expecting all 100% of your homeowners to be somewhere. Okay, next. Next, you're going to look at your immediate, intermediate, and extended zones. So you're going to look 0, 5, 5 to 30, and 30 to 100. And you're going to, same thing, you're going to check with your neighbors and see at what percentage they are. 30% of them are completed the 0 to 5. 50% have done 5 to 30. So that's your starting base. I will say this risk assessment will be a good guiding document for your start. Okay, next. So the risk assessment survey, we're going to go back to the KISS principle. You're going to take every one of those questions in that criteria, right? The roofing, the skirting, the siding, the shingles, the 0 to 5, the 5 to 30, and you're just going to repeat it in here, right? And so you're going to write each one of them, and that is the summary. Don't try to make, they're gentlemen, and there's actually only a couple in the NFPA that are reviewing these. And so with that, you're going through the fire process of being evaluated, just the facts, because they're reviewing hundreds of these constantly. And so they don't need, you're not trying to entertain them. You're not trying to give them fluff, just the facts. So make sure all 11 are in there. Now the risk assessment, this is where you're going to take those factors and you're going to put the weather and the topography and the landscape in there, and you're going to put those together. And so then you're going to say the observations of the homes. You're going to say the observations of your neighborhood. And so then you'll give examples of them. There were these many homes that had, and we saw overhangs of these trees. We saw that, their homes could be having materials other than landscaping removed from the 0 to 5. Okay. So you'll submit with your risk assessment, the boundary map, and it's all on there. So yeah. And then you'll create your 3-year action plan. So you can see that there's education and outreach, home hardening, defensible space, fuel reduction, and evacuation planning. Do you have to have 6? No, it's a template. So if you only come up with 1 or 2 or 3 of those, it's somewhere to start, because then next year you might add more, right? So your first year is your baseline. And so depending upon when you apply during the year, you can already count some of your hours. So like Golden Hills was applying in November, they were able to account for what they had done during that year. So I've been to the dump 6 times this year and I've done 6 truckloads, count it, right? Okay, so we're gonna do this, count it. So this is your baseline and this is the start in these areas. So next. Now you're gonna show your improvement. You have the goals that you had. Now you're gonna say, you're gonna improve it by 10%. So if the first one is, we're going to have 0 to 5 at 50%, then next year would be 0 to 5 at 60%, and then your third year. So you're just going to progressively do them. Now, you guys, I use 0 to 5, or I use the eaves and home hardening and that type of stuff. I have handouts and flyers that give different examples. You guys pick those. So there's no expectation that you pick a particular one. They're just listed here of the areas. So you have to get 3, 2 or 3 in those areas. So the first year might be evacuation. What are you guys going to do? How are you going to get a hold of your neighbors? How are you going to check on them? Sadly, in the Erskine fire, the fatalities were no one knew they were there, and the elderly couple couldn't get out. And so with that, if someone knew they were there, then maybe they could have checked on them, right? So your first year may be evacuation plan. Your second year is reviewing your evacuation plan. Do you guys, I know Tehachapi CERT does the radios. Do you guys do the radios up here? So, right. So the radios might be a way to, we're going to do a radio system with our neighbors and stuff like that. So you're going to want to make sure year 1, Year 2 and year 3 shows progressive growth. So yeah. So you're going to go into the portal. Okay. So that committee is going to collect the information, and then they're going to go into the portal and they're going to put it in there. After you complete your risk assessment and after you complete your community plan, there's no paper things that need to be collected or stuff like that. There may be tracking sheets of volunteer hours. Like, I said, like that one gal may call, or that one gentleman, like how many hours, and then he kind of tracks it. But other than that, everything's done through the website. Next. So again, there's 4 steps. You organize it, get together, establish your community, keep it simple. Don't make it so big that it's too far off, right? You're going to plan it. You're going to identify it. Whose roles and responsibilities? You're the note taker. You're the stakeholder that likes to go out and talk to people. You want to be the one hosting. You want to be the record keeper and stuff like that. And then you'll open up the portal and then you'll do it. So you can schedule the wildfire risk assessment. Again, it does not have to be done through us or anything like that. And then you'll complete your 3-year plan and then you apply. Next. If you can see, home hardening and defensible space works. Okay, and so I know as pictures start coming out from the fires down south, and there's even some in the Burrell fire that have shown that this stuff works. I use the example, they're beautiful, but there's those little dripping things for when the rain comes out, the gutters. They're gorgeous, right? I think they're adorable. However, if they're wood, fire has a tendency, and I think a fire is an animal. It's creepy, it's crawly, it likes to get into things. So you got to just keep it away. So next. The average time is estimated 6 to 9 months. And let me say that that's not on the Firewise side. It's usually on the community figuring it out. So plan bigger for just your street. And so when you're looking at your neighborhood, say Sally, because we already picked on Joe enough, right? Sally on the outside, she doesn't want to participate right now. Or, the house is changing over, the house is an Airbnb or something. Don't exclude them, because say they're at the end of the street and then they want to become, your neighborhood would have to start all over again. So don't do that to yourself. Do you have to go so big that you're including everybody? No. And that's where, I can help you with a map, or we can look at different things. But with that, you want to make sure and be honest, be ethical, be kind to your neighbors, be inclusive of them, but don't make it so big that you're making some big monster out of it. But if there's someone at the end of the street, so Golden Hills, they're a loop. The community that did it was a loop. Right outside of the loop, there was a street with 2 homes up it, and then nobody for like 2 miles, mile and a half. So they could have gone, we're just going to do our loop, right? And no, they said, we'll include the 2 over there. It's 2 more hours. They ended up wanting to participate anyways, but it would be the right thing to do. So we talked about if they don't want to participate, and then it's meant to foster community engagement, kind of like the neighborhood watch. And so it's really look at that. It's not a compliance measure. If you do not follow the Firewise program, nobody's coming to get you. You probably, if you were getting an insurance benefit, you will lose it. Kern County's not coming. CAL FIRE's not coming, or any of that sense. This is an organic, community-based program that is free to get you guys to come together. So next. I do have these, and then I also have some other stuff out there. But if you go to readyforwildfire.org and preparing your home for wildfire, whether or not you guys choose to go forward with the Firewise process, any type of efforts that you can do towards preparing your home is the better off you are and the better your community off. And I give the example in a harsh way. There will not be a fire engine in everybody's driveway. And there's a lot more that's going back to the homeowners, which rightfully so, because we need to be doing our part. It is our responsibility as homeowners in this area to do that. We don't want to be the conduit for it. And I have another video, and I don't have it here today, but there's actually a gentleman that had to use his home as a shelter. So if you think about it up here, if you are your best insurance to your home, you may be the best insurance to yourself. Why insurance drives people and money and savings more than our own safety is unbeknownst to me, but I'm just as guilty, right? And so with that, it may be the place that we have to hunker down in the time of it, especially if they're really fast. So next, here's another one. So these are all on the NFPA Firewise site. So you can go there and then I can give you the materials. And then there's 3-year action plan and risk reduction examples, which are the handouts I have. So, oh, that looks horrible. Sorry. So kernfiresafe.org has our Firewise tab on there, and you can get information from there. You can go to the NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association, and then you could go to readyforwildfire.org. Sorry, I'll change that color.
It looks a whole lot better on my phone.
Does it? Okay, that's why I was like, oh gosh, that looks atrocious. Yeah, so Kern Fire Safe. So again, my name is Wendy Ward, and I'm a County Wildfire Mitigation Coordinator with the Kern Fire Safe Council, and I'm the Kern County representative of CAL FIRE's program here. So I think that's it. Yep.
Okay,